Hello friends and my lovely viewers. Welcome back to the channel of Neon Safe. Today we will take a look at our brand new Bloomvine Flora Guardian. Let's get started.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. I'm tired of shit.
In our Flora's active skill, we will summon 3 Bloom Guards near random enemies for 8 seconds. Our Bloom Guards will then fire thorns at the furthest target within range, piercing through enemies along the path to deal 223% strength-based damage, and inflict a 5-second lasting bleed effect. Our bleed effect will deal 2.62% of our Flora's max constitution as damage per second, aka 5 times. This has a damage limit of 2000% of our strength, and our stacks will expire independently. Attacks of Bloom Guards have a 60% chance to heal them for 206% strength, and our excess healing will convert into a permanent shield. Quickly explained, we will deal strength-based damage to possibly multiple enemies, and we will deal constitution-based damage to the struck enemies. We got a strength limit and our stacks expire independently. We have a 60% chance to heal some of our constitution, and our excess will convert into a permanent shield. Our active skill is mainly based on dealing damage and recovering constitution. The number of enemies who will be struck by our thorns is uncertain, but our furthest opponent will be the most vulnerable one against Flora's attacks. I feel like we have a lot of potential in this skill, and it could turn out to work really nicely in battle if the description isn't misleading us. We need to focus on increasing our amount of strength and our amount of constitution, to properly make use of our active skill. I personally love the combination of dealing damage, using bleed effect, and healing HP, and I think it fits her quite well. It looks like our healing effect may impact allies as well, though it is a little bit vaguely written in our description. And I'm guessing the bleed effect may be caused by poison in her thorns, which continuously rip into the enemy's constitution, and that sounds very cool and suitable. Let us check out our passive skill next. We create a magical circle around our Flora Guardian. Allies who are within this circle will be granted immunity to the silence effect, and a 33.5% healing bonus. We spawn a trap near a random enemy every 3 seconds, and the unlucky foe who steps on it will take 210% strength-based damage, and be stunned for 1 second. Each triggered trap will heal our Guardian and the ally with lowest constitution percentage for 7.7% max constitution. After our opponent triggers 3 traps, the enemies will be charmed for 5 seconds. Whenever our Flora Guardian takes damage equal to 16% of our max constitution, we will summon 2 Bloom Guards near a random enemy. Our passive skill mainly focuses on healing our Guardian and allies. We basically gain buffs within the circle for our allies, we place traps that will deal damage to the enemy, and we heal our allies. We can charm the enemy after they trigger 3 traps, which means the enemies will begin to fight each other. And when our Flora Guardian takes a certain amount of damage, we will summon 2 Bloom Guards near a random enemy, which deals damage like described in our active skill. So our passive skill may seem like quite a mouthful, but it simply deals damage and focuses on supporting the team with healing effects, charms and stun effects. I feel positive about this passive skill, though it could be better. We focus on supporting the ally with the lowest constitution, so it kinda ensures our team will stay alive for longer, particularly our weakest ally. Keeping our allies' amount of constitution high may result in a stronger healing effect overall, so we may consider placing this Flora Guardian with high constitution allies. But when it comes to our Flora, if we buff up her constitution too much, then we may not lose enough of our set percentage of max constitution to summon 2 Bloom Guards. So if I understood this correctly, placing too much constitution on Flora may cause her to deal less damage overall. But another dilemma is that our active skill needs a high constitution to deal more damage. So it's a little bit tricky finding the perfect balance between too much or too little constitution for our active and passive skill effects. Using Flora in teams that already have a healer may be extra beneficial because of our additional healing bonus, but it's not a necessity for her effects to function. Overall, I personally feel optimistic about Flora's passive skill, even though it may not be the hype of this Guardian. But it supports our active skill in certain ways, and it may also support our ultimate skill or Guardian skill. Now that I mentioned it, it's time we move on to our Flora's ultimate skill. Our Guardian will target a locked enemy with vines, and make all the nearby enemies stuck to the ground for 4 seconds. Those affected enemies will take damage equal to 581% strength-based damage per second, and our Guardian will steal 8% of max constitution from each of the enemies in the area. The constitution we stole will be gradually returned 4 seconds after the skill ends. While this ultimate skill is happening, all our Bloom Guards will be enhanced, increasing their attack speed by 47.8% for 6 seconds. Their attacks also reduce enemies' healing received by 74.8% for 2 seconds. And do keep in mind, this effect does not stack. To break it down a little, we stun enemies for 4 seconds, deal damage to them all, and steal some of their constitution. During casting this skill, our Bloom Guards get attack speed buffs, and they ensure our opponent cannot heal up properly. So we are technically dealing damage, buffing our own Guardian and debuffing the opponent. Our ultimate skill looks decent, but perhaps a little bit below average. It doesn't seem broken in any way, nor does it have crazy effects. Being able to steal constitution from each of our opponent's champions looks very helpful, since we won't need to worry about lacking constitution for ourselves. But we have to keep in mind the constitution we stole will be returned back to the enemy. So it's more like a borrow rather than a steal. As of now, it looks like our Guardian may perform better in team versus team fights, rather than team versus boss fights. We need multiple opponents to steal the most amount of constitution after all, and that wouldn't be possible with just one enemy on the battlefield. Moving on to our Flora's Guardian skill next. We will deal 1530% strength-based damage to each enemy, within a fan-shaped area. Additionally, this strike of attacks will significantly knock back the nearby enemies. The affected enemies will have a 51% critical rate debuff, and a 51% damage debuff for 8 seconds. During our Guardian skill, the Ring of Nature will be enhanced so that it silences all enemies within range. The allies who are within this ring will be healed by 140% of our strength per second, with the excess healing converting into shields. We will also create a duplicate ring on our ally with the lowest constitution, and this lasts until our skill ends. When it comes to our Resolve collection, we will gain 140 points of Resolve each time our Guardian heals her own constitution. We gain only 70 points if an ally heals our Guardian's constitution instead. While we are affected by a heal block, aka inability to heal ourselves, we will restore 140 points per second. We cannot gain Resolve for 10 seconds after casting this Guardian skill. Simply explained, our Guardian skill is mainly focused on debuffing enemies' critical rate and damage output, while buffing our own allies with healing effects and shields. Our special Guardian skill sounds and looks very impressive to be honest, and I feel like this may be the biggest hype and a possible game changer in battle. Our passive skill's Ring of Nature effect is being boosted up through our Guardian skill, and having a healing effect together with the healing bonus could be amazing for our team. Especially our lowest constitution ally may end up with a huge shield that can keep him or her alive for a prolonged period of time. So I think we may want to pay extra attention to who our low constitution ally is. We should make sure the weak ally is a useful one in either DPSing or crowd controlling opponents, as we don't want our precious Bloomvine supportive abilities to be wasted on a complete deadweight. Now let us take a look at her clan traits and the remaining trait slots, before we make our final conclusion. Her first clan trait is called Perseverance, and at trait level 22 we will have our skill damage taken reduced by 10.3%. I think it only counts if we take skill damage from champions, but our trait description is a little bit vague to be honest, so I don't know for sure. Anyways, our Perseverance clan trait is a decent damage reduction trait. We can prevent our Guardian from taking too much damage, while still keeping her constitution low. So it is quite suitable having this type of clan trait on our Bloomvine, considering her type of skills. Our next clan trait is called Barrier. At trait level 22, when casting the active skill we will gain a shield equal to 700% of our strength for 8 seconds. Once again, we are given a defense-based clan trait, which gives our Bloomvine an extra layer of protection. We are required to have a high amount of strength for this defensive trait to be properly useful to us. I am not so sure about this clan trait, since our Bloomvine isn't entirely focused on dealing damage with strength alone, so it's perhaps a little bit disappointing, and I feel like we could be given a much better clan trait to be honest. Some enemies, such as our Dawnfeather Guardian, is also able to remove the opponent's shield, so that is another downside about our Barrier clan trait. We have to kinda be careful not to run into Dawnfeather, if we want our precious trait to be useful in battle. But it's kinda alright I guess, since her skills do rely on strength in both healing allies and dealing damage. As for our 3 remaining trait slots, we may want to start by placing Brutal onto her. At Brutal trait level 22, we will gain a 45% increase in strength. Our buffed strength will help our Barrier clan trait, and it also helps us deal more damage in our skills. She also needs strength to heal allies like mentioned earlier, and thus we will really need a lot of strength. So in our second trait slot we may consider getting the aggressive trait as well. This trait will at level 22 increase our strength by 2% for each attack, and it goes up to a total of 20%. We need our Bloomvine Guardian to launch attacks quickly, so if we notice she is being particularly slow, we may want to consider the clan trait called Agile for the third slot. But do keep in mind Agile should only be used on one of our champions in the team, as it benefits everyone and will not overlap or stack in any way. If we already have Agile in our team, we can opt for the trait called Fierce for Bloomvine's third and last trait slot. Fierce will at level 22 increase our total damage output by 25%. So our Fierce trait will boost up both our strength and constitution-based attacks, which is quite nice for Bloomvine, since she is using constitution-based attacks as well. That all being said, do remember this trait comp is just my very own personal opinion and suggestion on the matter, so you don't have to follow it if you don't want to. Feel free to suggest other trait combinations in the comments section below, by the way, as there are lots of different variations that may function just as great, if not better than this one. Anyways, let us bring out our final conclusion on this Guardian. I believe Bloomvine may become an amazing supporter/healer for our team. Most parts of our skills are entirely focused on debuffing enemies and buffing or healing ourselves. I don't think she will be much into DPSing the opponent or tanking for the team, but she does impact the opponent with a quite great damage output. So she isn't completely passive either. I do believe we should keep her protected by durable allies, and we should focus on making her launch healing effects and shields onto herself. But for that to happen, we need to keep her constitution below all of the allied champions of our team, and we will need a very specific team comp to make it happen without causing a tragedy. Overall, Flora is a decent Guardian, but it is hard to tell what tier to place her into. For the time being, I personally believe she lands on the solid S tier, though it is not completely set in stone yet. I feel like it is worth mentioning that Bloodline is having a few problems with this Guardian. So she is not exactly doing what she is supposed to do in battle, and she may come off as underwhelming and whatnot. But I'm hoping the bugs and issues will be fixed soon, so that her performance can match the skill descriptions more accurately. I think we have covered the topic of today. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or thoughts you would like to share with us, feel free to comment below. To partake in our giveaways, subscribe to the channel. You may also leave a like or share the video with your friends if you feel like it. We highly appreciate your support and contribution. Have an amazing day, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, stay foxy, adios, bye.